Hello students, in last class I have discussed the production theory up to the determination of the average and marginal product curve from the total product curve and the relation between the average and marginal product curve. The rest of the production theory will be discussed after the vacation. Now I will discuss with you the cost of production. What is cost of production? Farm uses different inputs to produce output. Total cost of inputs which are used by the farm to produce the output is the cost of production. Therefore, the cost of producing output is called the cost of production. In economics, there exists different concept of cost. The main cost of production is the total cost of production, which is divided between the total fixed cost of production and total variable cost of production. Total cost equal to total fixed cost plus total variable cost. TC equal to TFC plus TBC. Now what is TFC? The total fixed cost. It is the cost which are not changed along the change in the amount of production. These costs are dependent on the amount of production. If the amount of production remains unchanged, the cost of production also remains unchanged. This type of cost is known as fixed cost of production. The example of fixed cost is rent of the factory shed, interest of the bank loan, salary of the fixed permanent workers, salary of the factory guard, license fees, etc. Total variable cost. These costs change with the change in the amount of production. These costs are dependent on the amount of production, on the output. If the output changes, then the total variable cost also changes. The example of the total variable cost is expenditure on raw materials, transport cost, expenditure for fuel, salary of the temporary workers, etc. These are the shape of short-run total cost curves. Here, we know that the total, if the amount of production go on increasing, there is no change in the total fixed cost of production. Therefore, it is a horizontal straight line parallel to the x-axis. We measure x-axis. In the x-axis, the amount of production. In the y-axis, the cost. Cost, that is cost, the total fixed cost, the total variable cost, the total cost. And the total fixed cost curve is parallel to the x-axis because the total fixed cost does not change with the amount of production. If the amount of production go on increasing, the total fixed cost remain unchanged. The total variable cost starts its journey from O, and the shape is S-like. The S-like shape, the S-like shape, and it is due to the law of variable proportions. According to the law of variable proportion, we know when the inputs go on increasing, the total product first increases at the increasing rate, then at a constant rate, then at a decreasing rate, then reaches at the maximum. Here the cost conditions are just opposite to the production. Here the cost first decreases at a decreasing rate. So it is, this portion is concave to the x-axis. Then at this point it decreases at a constant rate, then it decreases at a decreasing rate, then reaches up at a minimum. Here the shape of the total variable cost curve is due to the law of variable proportion. Here is a TC curve which is obtained by horizontal summation of TFC and TBC. The difference between the TC and the TVC curve is just the amount of fixed cost. Now there are some difference between fixed cost and the variable cost. The cost which is not changed along with the change in the amount of production, that is the cost which are not dependent on the amount of production, is called fixed cost. Cost of farm for the fixed factors, product fixed cost, rent of factory shed. On the other hand, the cost which are changed along with the change in the amount of production, the costs which are dependent on the amount of production are called variable cost. Expenditure of the raw materials, transport cost, expenditure for fuel, etc. This is the difference between fixed cost and the variable cost. Now, I would like to discuss about the average costs and their shapes. The average cost AC, it is the per unit total cost. That is the total cost divided by the total amount of output, or TC divided by Q. The average fixed cost is the total fixed cost divided by the total amount of production. Total fixed cost divided by the total amount of production, that is TFC divided by Q. And average variable cost is the total variable cost divided by the total amount of production, that is TVC divided by Q. Average cost is known as AC, average fixed cost is known as AFC, and average variable cost is known as ABC. Here TC equal to TFC plus TVC. TC by Q is equal to TFC by Q plus TVC by Q. AC is equal to AFC plus ABC. How? This is how we can determine the average cost curve, average costs. Here is the combined picture of the three types of average cost curve. Here is the AFC curve, here is the ABC curve, and here is the AC curve. The average fixed cost decreases continuously along with the increasing production. The average fixed cost is AFC equal to TFC divided by Q. As Q go on increasing but the TFC remains same, the ratio goes on decreasing. That is, the average fixed cost is the ratio between the TFC and the Q. So average fixed cost decreases continuously with the increase in the production. The shape of the average fixed cost curve is rectangular hyperbola. It is an important question. What is the shape of the average fixed cost? It is a rectangular hyperbola is the never touches the x-axis. Average fixed cost cannot be negative. It always positive. Here is the shape of the AFC curve. We can see from the picture that we have measured production in the x-axis and average AFC in the y-axis. From the picture we can see that the average fixed cost goes on decreasing, but it never touches the x-axis or horizontal axis. Average variable cost decreases with the increasing cost of production, but after a certain level, it increases with the increasing production. The shape of the average variable cost is due to the law of variable proportion. Here is the shape of the ABC curve. First decreases, reaches at a minimum, then further increases. And the shape is due to the law of variable proportion. Okay. The next portion will be discussed in the next class. Go through the lecture and also study the material provided with it. . . 。  . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . .